This episode is intended for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is advised. Meow, meow, meow,
What's up, everybody? This is Michael Mota, and I'm this week's guest on this frequency with an audible Giselle Johnson.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome, kittens, to another episode of On This Frequency. I'm Natalie. Ricky isn't here again, but we have Bartley as always.
Yeah.
Giselle, who you may have heard on our episode recently titled "Hey Siri, What is a Woman?" If you haven't tuned in, it is available anywhere you get your podcasts. And of course, we have the wonderful, the one and only, my husband Michael Mota. Meow, 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 meow. This week's episode, we're going to be talking about leadership. But before we get into that, let's listen to this week's moment of laughter.
Here's what's going to happen. I am going to have to fix you, manage you to on a more personal scale, a more micro form of management. Jim, what is that called?
Microagement?
Boom. Yes. Now, Jim is going to be the client. Dwight, you're going to have to sell to him without being aggressive, hostile, or difficult. Let's go.
All right, fine. Ring, ring.
Bring.
Hello? Hello, this is Dwight Schrute from the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. Wow, that's great, because I need paper. Excellent, then you are in luck, because we are having a limited time offer only on everything. Wow, this is my lucky day. What is your name, sir? I am Bill Buttlicker. Really, that's your real name? How dare you? My family built this country, by the way.
Be respectful, Dwight, please.
Oh, yes, Michael. Could you hold on 1 second? That's my other line. What? No, but I... Hello? Yeah. No, I'm just on the phone with this stupid salesman. He's so dumb. Probably just going to keep him on the line forever and not buy anything. Okay.
It's up to you to change his mind.
Sorry. That was a family emergency. Oh, no. What's wrong? You know what? That's private.
Boundaries, Dwight, come on.
I'm sorry, Mr. Buttlicker. As I was saying, we're having a limited... Speak up a little bit louder. I'm hard of hearing.
He's hard if he's an old man.
Okay. As I was saying, right now we are having...
Talk louder.
Okay. Our prices have never been lower.
Son, you have to talk louder.
Never been lower.
Louder, son!
Buttlicker! Our prices have never been lower!
Stop it! That is totally inappropriate. You should never yell at the client.
Now,
Never
you listen to
yell at the
me, sir.
Here we go.
The 3 words I would describe you as is aggressive,
Yes.
hostile, and definitely difficult.
Please, Mr. Buttlicker.
I'm irate right
Give
now.
me the phone.
Please give me
He's
another
irate.
chance.
Give me the phone.
Mr. Buttlicker.
Give me the phone.
I have to put you on with my boss. Well, I should hope so.
Who is this?
Hello, this is Michael Scott, regional manager.
Well, this is William M. Buttlicker.
Hello, Mr. Buttlicker. How may we help you?
Michael, I like the sound of your voice. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy $1 million worth of paper products today.
See how it's done? Thank you very much, sir. I don't think you'll regret it. See what I did?
You're the master.
There is one condition, Michael.
Yes.
You have to fire the salesman that treated me so terribly.
Don't do it, Michael.
It's $1 million sale.
meow. Poor Dwight. He always gets the shittiest luck. I love The Office. It's my favorite.
You know, in sales, though, it's funny because we always do role plays like that. And like,
All
really,
the time.
it's like, no, it's not that easy. Like, yeah, I want paper. Like, no, it's never that easy.
Yeah. It actually reminds me of the Chase environment when we used to do role playing. And then, okay, so let's say that I'm Mr. Buttlicker. How are you gonna respond to X, Y, and Z? And then you would respond whatever it is you're gonna say in front of everyone. Oh my gosh, that always made me so nervous.
There's always a script, too.
Yes. Absolutely.
But in a way, I mean, I think that's good. I mean, to practice. It's just practicing with your fellow coworkers. I mean, as much as we all hated it.
Yeah, and it
think it's
definitely
It does
gets
come
you,
in handy.
Yeah.
It gets you out of your element and more. It makes you comfortable to have that conversation with a stranger, Mr. Buttlicker.
With all the Buttlickers of the world. I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I've never seen an episode of The Office.
What? Are you serious?
Why are
I'm
you here?
serious.
Why are you here?
Bartley.
I guess this is my resignation from the show.
I think so. Like, that should have been a prerequisite when we were,
I'm sorry.
To all our listeners, I bid you adieu. You will not hear from me ever again.
Do you watch Parks and Recreation?
No.
Oh, okay. Most people who have never seen The Office that I've talked to, they're usually more Parks and Recreation type people, and I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
Because I couldn't get into it. I was more of The Office, but most of my experience is like you're either one or the other.
Yeah,
Well, a lot of people haven't seen Seinfeld before, and that's a classic.
Bartley's just an anomaly.
I've seen Seinfeld.
See, he's seen Seinfeld. He's all right.
Before my time.
At least he's seen something.
Before my time.
Wow. Well, we learned something new about you, Bartley.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Shit.
He said, "I'm sorry."
This will be my last episode, guys. I'm sorry.
You can still redeem yourself. Just get that Peacock subscription. Can watch it there.
You'd probably get,
I think you can
don't know.
get it
Maybe
for free. I don't think
you
need
should
the
watch it though. Now that you work at Autos, you'd be like, okay, I can relate.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. We'll do it.
Well, again, that clip comes from The Office, season 5, episode 6, where you can watch on Peacock. Meow, 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 meow. So, we have some fun guests, Mike and Giselle. When I was thinking about this conversation, and I feel like I've been nagging to Mike about getting on the podcast and having more conversations with us about just leadership, people skills, money, things of that nature. And so finally we have him on, right? I'm really thrilled. But Mike and I usually have conversations around the dinner table that usually involve geopolitics, economic issues, what we're going to name the baby, and whatever job brought us that day. Before we get into our main topic, I wanted Mike to highlight a little bit of his story, as I believe it is important to give insight on his thought process and who he is, because I believe Mike to be a great leader. Some insight on his upbringing might help our listeners understand how this guy was molded. So, Mike, if you can tell us who you are and what you do, and what was your childhood like, is mainly my point here.
Well, I mean, if you want me to go back to my childhood.
Yeah, because I think that, that's definitely a foundational piece, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd hope so.
Right?
No, of course. Yeah. I mean, I think the way I am today has a lot to do with my childhood. I mean, my mom and dad, they got married when they were 18.
Really?
In a little town in Mexico.
I didn't realize they were that young.
On the border of El Paso and Juarez. And then I think, if I remember correctly, I think my dad had me at the age of 26. My mom was like 25. And I was born here in LA County, West Covina to be exact. But I grew up here in Ontario, California. I don't know, my involvement in school growing up here was very minimal, I would say. I didn't, from ages from 5 to 10 when you're going to elementary school. Mm-hmm. You're just trying to figure things out. But I remember 5th grade, I got introduced to music. So I was 10. And I got into percussions. I did the whole drumming in 5th grade, and I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. And it carried through to junior high. Mm-hmm. And in junior high, I got a taste of concert band. Played timpanis, more percussions in there. Did a little bit of jazz and music.
Were you in the Jazz Cats?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, babies.
Oh, yeah, you were too, right?
I was too, yeah.
Yeah. That's right. That's what I meant, Bartley, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
You know Bartley that long?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I thought you guys met in high school or a little bit like in baseball, but
No,
it was sooner than that, huh?
Yeah. Because I was like, wait a minute.
Shit.
I go, if I remember correctly, we went to Vina Danks together. Mm-hmm. And
okay, Bartley, you can stay.
you were playing sax, right?
No, I played trumpet.
Yeah,
I played trumpet in jazz band, and I played baritone horn in concert band, and I was like first chair all county and with my baritone horn.
Yeah, you see, when you're first chair, you're the shit.
Yeah, I was really, really good at that instrument.
And
But anyways, Mike, please continue.
yeah, so this episode is focused on leadership, and I think there's an importance to being part of a group.
Yeah.
And working as a team, because as I've always said, you can't accomplish anything on your own.
Right.
But playing music was big, and in the Jazz Cats, I remember Barley. What it was, Mr. Krause, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't. A lot of our friends didn't really care too much for him, but he was actually a very good music instructor.
I'd have to agree with that 100%.
I mean, the guy was disciplined. In my junior high years, I think that's where I really grasped discipline, because I remember he even used to throw erasers at us. Like,
No.
the erasers were like,
Pay attention.
You hit the wrong note. Like, what's that movie, Bartley? The jazz drummer. What's it called?
Jazz drum.
Whiplash.
Okay, yeah.
If you watch the movie
right.
Whiplash, it's about jazz, and the instructor is just like, he's just on him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how jazz instructors are, and like, it's just being disciplined, making sure that you get it, you get it right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's not perfection, because no one is ever perfect.
I would say Mr. Krause was a mix of that plus Mr. Holland's Opus.
Ooh, Mr. Holland's Opus is good.
I like that. Yeah. So going through that experience, I went to high school. I actually didn't pursue music in high school. I got into baseball. And it's funny.
We were teammates in baseball too.
Partly and I were teammates in baseball as well.
Look at
And
how the universe just kind of aligns. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like here we are. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I had the option to go into like marching band and or go back into concert band, but I don't know. I just during that transition, I started getting to playing guitar, and I was like, oh no, I like just playing on my own. But I always played baseball, during elementary school, and to be honest with you, I just didn't really want to do PE in high school, and I was like, well, baseball's probably an easy A. I can do it. So I gave it my all, and I did that, and playing baseball and working together as a team. It was kind of cool experiencing that, because there's no difference from that to a concert band or a band. We all have to work together, right?
Yeah.
So as I did that, it was my senior year. I had economics class with Jeff Spach, and he saw a picture of me playing guitar with my cousin Mondo on my folder, and he's
Jeff
like,
Spach is a friend of yours, right?
yeah, and he's like, hey man, it's like, I have a band, and we're looking for another guitar player. Do you want to come play? And I was like, oh, I was like, well, it was my senior year. I was playing varsity baseball, and I was like, well, I was kind of like at a crossroad.
Yeah.
I was like, do I pursue baseball or do I go play music, what I really love? And at the same time, I was like, okay, I got to go to college too. And at that time, I was already, Cal State Fullerton had accepted me, Cal State San Bernardino, a few other colleges. And I my senior year, I actually dropped out of varsity baseball, and I told the Coach Copas, I was like, hey, you know what? I go, I'm passionate about music, and I got to go. And he actually respected me for that. Like, he still gave me an A for that year, and he's like, go pursue what you're passionate about. And I started doing music, and that was a cool experience. Growing a band and developing something as a team. And that led to 5 years of growing a band / business and getting into banking.
Yeah.
So banking led me to a whole...
It's just a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy where I'm at right now. Like everything that I've learned and then everything that I've learned and I'm applying back to everybody that doesn't really know too much about how the world works.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting that and that's why I don't question my, where my path has taken me, because all of the things prior to it have led me to just where I need to be, even though I don't even know what that thing might be at a certain point in time. It's like, well, all these decisions that I've made throughout my life have gotten me X, Y, and Z, and now here I am, and I have to trust that everything's gonna work out for, the greater good.
It's where you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, for sure. Giselle, did you play any sports or were in any team type activities growing up?
I played soccer a little bit. And then, I was actually on the debate team for a little while.
Oh, okay.
In high school. And in high school,
How was the debate team? Because I've always been intrigued about that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's not just stand at a podium, pros and cons and everything. I mean, there is that, but there's also so many more different auditory skills. So we did, what is that word? Impromptu. Excuse me. I was gonna say pro bono. I'm like, that is not what that is not what I'm trying to say. Nope. Impromptu. So that was actually a really good one where you learn those different styles, and everybody's like, well, I don't know my pros and my cons, and it's like, okay, well, here's your topic, just speak on it. Okay. And having that skill and developing that was very interesting because there's so much more that goes into it than just talk. You know. And then when we did get into the different debates and everything. So I remember we would go and we would travel at different schools and we were on the team and everything. And so you have to write out your pros and your cons, whether you're on the positive or the negative side of it. And at that time we were doing the death penalty. And, before you're given your section, they tell you, okay, you're going to be in this room, you're going against this person, and you're pro. You're going against this person, then you're con. So you kind of go through it and you have to prepare yourself. And as you're writing it through, it's almost like you write an essay. And you have to anticipate what other questions. So it's almost like you're debating against yourself as you're preparing it. It was really interesting. And I really liked it just because I'm such a planner. I'm so type A with certain things that I really enjoyed that piece of, okay, if I was arguing with me, which, who doesn't, who doesn't argue with themselves, how would I stump this person, so to speak? So you kind of have to prepare for that. It was a lot of fun. Actually. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I would have been completely shy, and I don't know that I would have been able to handle something like that.
It's weird, because you do have to get up and speak in front of people, obviously. I've never had that fear where I couldn't actually execute what I wanted to do as far as speaking in public. I still get nervous. I still have to mentally prepare myself with what I'm going to say and everything, but it was the planning process that I think I enjoyed the most.
Yeah, and I'm sure that whole experience definitely prepared you, and you've taken those skills to what you do today.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Because you, in your work, and if you want to remind us what you do, you're definitely a leader in your role. Right?
Yeah, I definitely am.
We are leaders in the financial industry.
We are.
What about you,
Fist
Natalie?
up.
Did you play any sports or were you part of a team atmosphere growing up?
I wasn't didn't get into any sports until my junior year of high school. I played tennis, and that did help me quite a lot. And I think that my tennis coach knew that I needed that because he put me in a doubles team. So I had to, of course, become the team player, and that's definitely helped me throughout. But I tell Mike, even now, that I wish that I would have had, or sports would have been in my life, or some kind of like team-led activity would have been a part of my life much younger, because I feel that now that's something that I'm trying to be better in and learn. And it just doesn't come as easily for me because, and I don't want to say that I'm self-centered and selfish, but I just don't think about others in the same way as someone that has been in leadership roles or in team player activities or sports, let's just say, right? Because I've always been the one man person,
the one man show.
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to you.
You know what I mean? Which I think now, thinking about the type of jobs that I've been in, especially like being an analyst, that's a one-man show. It's just me and my little Excel spreadsheets, and we just have a ball. But I'm trying to change that because it's good to be a part of a team and be a leader and be led and things of that nature. So
what makes a leader?
Well, that's why I have you here.
You tell us, Mike.
This is me trying to receive the knowledge and education.
I don't know. I sometimes I don't consider myself a leader, but at the same time, I mean, I do. Most you gotta understand your purpose, and you gotta want to give back for sure as being a leader, because a good leader will want to get their hands dirty with their employees or their team.
Yeah, there's a difference between a leader and a boss. A boss will say, do this, and a leader will say, hey, we're in it together. Follow me. I got you. Let's do this together.
Selfish intentions.
Right. Yes. Yep. Yeah. So that comes a long way. And I think that goes to what we were talking about on the drive over here, with in sales in general. It starts from the top. If you're not doing what's right for your team and for the client, or whatever it is, it starts with
there's
the
a trickle effect of the negativity, of the failure to perform, to do your job efficiently, employee morale. It's a whole trickle effect. It starts from the top with everything that we do. Yeah. And, a good example of that, Natalie, at our former place of work, we're not going to call anybody out, but we went through a massive update to our core system.
Yeah.
And me having experience in that, I went to our leaders and I said, listen.
Hold on. Before, let me set the stage, because what I want the listeners to understand is that what you and Natalie used to do for the lenders, for the banks, so because you guys were in the BSA department, right? Or
operations, and Natalie's in BSA.
Right.
Compliance for those that
goes
don't
hand
know.
in hand. Yeah. So to sum it all up, Giselle and Natalie protect the assets of the bank from illegal activity, making sure that whoever is opening up the accounts are, they say who they are, where's the money coming from, who do they do business with, what kind of business activity do they do. So in the banking industry, as a country, in the U.S., we have to make sure that we protect the money that's coming into the U.S. and the money that's going out to the U.S. So what these girls do is a lot of responsibility, like a tremendous, and I give them mad props. I always give mad props to them, because there are those bankers that, a lot of people see like on The Wolf of Wall Street and these movies are like, oh, they're just all money, blah, blah. And
there's a very narrow point of view. And when people say, oh, I'm in banking, they're like, oh, you're, throwing
All
midgets
this
against
money.
the wall kind of thing. You know?
And-
Always on a yacht.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, it is a lot of that, but
It's One Piece.
that's what you guys have to weed out and,
Right.
say like, hey, wait, you guys are the traffic cops, really, and that's a lot of
gatekeepers.
responsibility. It's a lot of responsibility to our country, not just the company that you guys represent or the bank that you guys represent,
Yeah.
but to our country, because you guys prevent illegal activity
Right.
filtering into our
Right.
economy.
You're welcome, America.
Thank you. So thank you guys.
Well,
No,
well,
thanks.
shit. I feel like I need to rewrite my resume with all that information.
No, but it's true though. And even
it
Natalie,
is.
with what you said, that you didn't feel like a leader and you're in a one-man show type of thing. You know, for the position you had, yeah, you are a one-man show, you are, but you're also a resource. And being a resource to people in, you know, from my perspective, you know, like Mike said, as far as protecting the bank, you know, my job and the people that report to me are frontline. You know, you're on the back end of that, but we have to work together
yeah.
in order to make sure that we're both doing our jobs and protecting the bank as a whole.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have you as a resource to go to, like, hey, this is a weird situation, or this is just not sitting right with me, or whatever the case may be, if you didn't have that leadership quality, no one would be calling you,
Right.
which is not the case, you know?
Yeah. And
So you exude that unintentionally, you know?
You're absolutely right about that, and that's one of the things that I miss in the last job or company that we worked for, where I was taking on a lot of those phone calls and where I was that resource to the front line. Hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? Talking through with others about different scenarios and best possible outcomes and how they should move forward. And as I started moving up in my career, that was becoming less and less, and I missed it. I'm like, oh, nobody's calling me.
Yeah.
Nobody needs me.
Yeah.
But it's just that I was, you know, that someone else took over that role. But yeah, people are important.
Yeah.
And it's important, and it feels good to educate and teach others. You know.
Yeah. It's so important. Training
Yeah.
is so important.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of leadership that maybe gets brushed under the rug, or maybe leaders in those positions don't see, is that they are well, good leaders will know, right? But the other half won't know that their role is to teach and to take the skills that they've learned and pass it on. And I don't know why that is. Why is that? Like, I feel like there's just greed.
I think people probably think it's job security,
Yeah.
you know, but at the same time though, you know, I have a couple different leaders who I think of, you know, in my banking career and everything. And they never withheld information from me. Anything I wanted to know, I was always privy to that information and to their thought process to make that decision, and helping me learn that. The leaders that I don't necessarily respect as much were very selfish and very controlling.
Yep.
And it's very frustrating as an employee who you're supposed to rely on this person to grow your own career,
Right.
or to better your own career, your job, etc. And they're withholding that information. I would literally, when I first got into banking, first got into this type of role, the boss I had, she was amazing. She is just phenomenal. And I would literally go in her office, because I didn't have that much work at the time. I would literally sit in her office and watch her work. Watch her, how she formatted emails, how she took phone calls, how she organized different types of things. It was one of the most fascinating things, and I will never forget it. Terry, if you're listening, I love you, girl.
Actually,
Terry Dawson?
I worked with her multiple times.
Amazing woman.
She's great at her job.
I
Great.
literally would sit and watch her work. And
I couldn't mess with her.
No, nobody could.
I remember
Nobody can.
I'd come to her like, hey, so I got this account. Nope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she's protecting the bank.
Yeah, and that's what I admired about her.
Need.
It's like,
that's what you need. Exactly. And, you know, having her as a resource, I still go to her to this day. I have not worked directly for her in years, and I still go to her as a resource for that because she is a natural leader.
Right.
And I would say all the time, when I grow up, I want to be like Terry. You know, me being 31 years old now. Hopefully I grow up soon. But, you know, that's what you want.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things as far as being a leader is approachability.
Yes.
You need to be able to have that open door policy and be approachable by the people who are working beneath you.
Yeah, because if your employees fear you, or if you are an employee and you feel like you can't go talk to your manager, that's just that's not a good working environment, which leads to poor performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so
it's that trickle effect that we just talked about.
It's that trickle effect. I've been through it. I've been through it, and you know, you have somebody in power, in that leadership role, and if you know that they're just like, you're not. No, why? If you identify that, you know, either one, you approach HR with your concerns, or you just step away and not be involved and find something better.
Right.
You know, you just have to. You have to.
Yeah. It's definitely a good quality to have, and it's something that's so important. I was actually very flattered. Actually, I had a conversation with one of my employees, and he said, I just told him, I was like, listen, I really appreciate that you are raising your hand, you're defending yourself with a conversation. And he's like, well, no, he's like, you make it easy to talk with you. And it's like, oh, that makes me feel good. You know, like I'm doing something right, that at least you can talk to me. This wasn't necessarily an easy conversation to have, but at least we can openly communicate, come to a resolution, and move on. Let's both be better at our jobs.
Yeah, because you as a leader, you're going to take that in. You're like, okay, well, you're going to address his concern. And then a good leader will sit back, reflect on that, and like, okay, well, how am I going to make this better? How am I going to accommodate this? Because if he's feeling this, then clearly everybody else that's in his same department or has the same role is feeling this.
Yeah.
So,
and just, you know, a little back, like this particular position where people are reporting to me is very new for me. I've always been that one-man show, like you said, Natalie, where I'm learning to now take into account, oh, I got to check in with this person. I got to make sure that they're okay. I got to, you know, where normally it's like, I'm here, I'm doing my thing, and I'm going home, you know. Yeah. But it was good in that conversation for him to acknowledge that and bring that up, and I really appreciated that. Yeah. Being so new into this position, like, okay, keep on this type of path, you know. Yeah. And if I make a mistake, I'm not one to try and hide it. I'm never gonna shove it under the rug, because that's just gonna make things so much worse. Yeah. You know, you got to be accountable for what you're doing or not doing. Exactly. Right. And you know, now I've got direction. Okay, keep going to the right. Keep going here. You know, and you know, I will make a mistake. That's just life. We're human. I will make a mistake at some point. It's inevitable. But I will learn from it, move forward, and, you know, just again, keep trying to be a better leader from that.
Do you guys agree that people don't always need to be in manager or leadership roles? I feel that, and I'm pretty sure this is in all industries, but we see it in banking where, you know, you move from, let's just, you know, the logic of you move from teller to banker, and then you become for whatever weird reason, people or others say, oh, you're a great banker, now let's put you into a supervisor role. And then this person just bombs it because they don't have leadership skills. They have sales skills.
Well, not all people were made to be leaders.
Exactly.
There it is.
Not all people should be promoted to supervisor position because they don't know how to lead people beneath them.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that, you know, that's part of the problem in a lot of industries is that you just promote, and you don't promote a person who's actually a good leader to lead, you know, the people underneath them.
It's just internal politics is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're gonna and again it goes to the top. They're like, oh, okay, well,
who aren't necessarily involved in that day to day to recognize that this banker doesn't have leadership capabilities. They're a great banker. They bring in the deposits. They know their forms and everything else, but they don't manage anybody else but themselves.
Exactly.
Right, and they're a great person to have on your team.
Yeah.
They're just not a great leader.
Yeah, there's
and so
nothing wrong with that.
They shouldn't be promoted into leadership positions.
Yeah.
But that's not nothing bad on them. They're just not. That's not who they are.
Right. And that's the whole thing too. Like sometimes you need those worker bees. Some people don't need more responsibility nor want more responsibility than what they currently do.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with that. Keep promoting that person within that role, and that's it.
Yeah.
And take them as far as you possibly can until they just keep doing their job, and that's just what they do for 25 years, you know? And some people do, and that's fantastic.
There's a lot of people like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the worker bees.
Yeah, hell yeah. Or unless like they do want to turn into this leader or whatever it is, or these management roles, then let's develop them to do that, not just, okay, next week you're gonna start, here's your packet.
But
Good
you
luck.
can only develop someone so far. Like they have a cap. Mike, I don't know if you've read the book 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
No.
But in that book, the guy talks about like, there's caps on people and their leadership skills. So like say, one person's a 6. Well, they can't develop to a 7 because their cap is just a 6. Whereas other people, who are underneath them may be able to develop to an 8 or a 9 or higher, but they never get that opportunity. Like there's caps on how good a leader can be, and that's as far as they go.
Yep.
And to try to push them to be more than that, you're never going to get anything more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One way to recognize a good leader is how well their employees do
Right.
after the fact. Are you able to promote your employees? Are they able to grow? Are they able to move on? Sometimes that's not a bad thing, and can they step into a position when the time is called?
Right.
In sports, that's called a coaching tree. Bill Belichick has a list of coaches that have coached underneath him for many, many years.
Right.
And you rate his success on how many guys he's got, head coaching jobs along the way. Or guys like John Wooden back in the day. Like those guys have guys underneath them that branch out to be head coaches elsewhere. Well, that's how you can tell great leaders, is that they allow the people underneath to learn and grow and then branch out and do what they do and be successful at what they do.
You build the value in yourself.
Yep.
I like that. We need more of that. I don't feel like there's enough.
Definitely not.
But it's just it's so important, even in your personal life, and, I have 2 friends who were going through something really tough over the 2 separate situations over the last couple of years. And, they didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to express themselves. They didn't want to lean on us. We call ourselves, a tribe and everything else. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, you're the leader of our tribe, but what kind of tribe are we if we can't step in when you need us?
Yeah.
What kind of tribe is that? What kind of tribe are you leading
Right.
if we can't step in and be there for you?
Yeah. Have these conversations. That's a great point, Giselle. Leadership goes into the personal realm as well. I can relate in that with a group of friends that I have in the last 5-7 years. Some of us more than others have taken that leadership role of like, hey, let's be more intentional with our conversation, with getting together, with just creating better friendships. Let me be a better friend to you. Let me tell you what I'm going through, because this is the only way that if I'm showing you my vulnerabilities and my problems or whatever, they don't even have to be problems, but if I'm letting you into my life, maybe you'll let me into yours and we can have a better dynamic, a better relationship. And that's the way that you build friends and and teams and groups and tribes and villages and people that'll help you with whatever resources you need.
Right.
We need people because it takes a village.
Yep.
Always.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You're right, Natalie.
Yeah. I'm kind of reflecting on just like family dynamics and things like that, you know, because there's so much fallout that happens that sometimes in our families, it doesn't allow us to thrive in other areas professionally or whatever the case may be, because the family lacked something, which then made you lack the leadership skills or the communication skills or whatever it is, you know. So that's a big.
We're talking about leadership, and so you know, maybe some of your listeners are in a position that, because I feel like the three of us, we've been in that position working in the bank to where we've started, you know, at the bottom, right, in the banking industry. And look, the banking industry is a global money mover. I mean, literally, money makes the world go round. Go round. Sorry, not wrong.
Go wrong.
Sometimes.
That's also true.
That's a different podcast. That's a different episode.
Next week on This Frequency.
Money makes the world go
Is
wrong.
it Barley? Maybe you can. I remember. I think I was in 7th grade. Is it Mr. Shear? He was a history teacher
At Vina?
Vina. Yeah.
Yep.
Is it Mr. Shear or Mr.
Yeah, I think so. Mr.
Shear. I remember I would always go into his class, and it was his history. He's like, when the bell rang, the very first thing he would say is like, "Money makes the world go round." Like that. He'd always do it like that, right? Holding his right elbow. And I'm like, why is this man's crazy?
Yeah.
Money makes the world go round. And yes, it does. Working in the banking industry, I mean, we understand really how, you know, business activity works, you know, the flow of money, the do's, the don'ts, compliance, finance laws. I mean, it's a complexity.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, you know, the three of us, we've been in that high corporate environment to where when we started, we saw the leaders that were guiding us and we're like, with all due respect, why the fuck is this guy here? Right?
Yep.
And so I guess, what can we tell the listeners if you're in that position to where you feel like, because I've been there, I'm like, no, I can do a better job than this person. This guy's doing it all wrong. And sometimes, you know, when you're in that position at a low level position, you identify their faults and you know what you can do better, but you can't have that voice in that level. What would you guys say to that person to like, okay, look, you already have that vision. You know how you can make things better and you're going to do it for the better good for the company or for the employees or whatnot, right? Is it patience? Is it speaking out? Is it waiting for the right time to really speak out? Like what? Because I've been through it many times. I've been through it working through with JP Morgan, with Pacific Premier Bank, all these corporations that I've been contracted through. I'm like, oh God. And sometimes it's just biting your tongue and waiting for the right moment to say, look, this person is doing this and we can't be doing this because we have to, you know, this is how we can make this better.
Yeah.
Because I know there's people out there that are in those positions that are like, man, I can do a better job than this, but they approach it incorrectly, and sometimes they just get slapped and like, nope.
Yeah.
And then psychologically, that just does something to a person to like, well, maybe I shouldn't. I fucked up. I can't do that again.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it is a little bit of everything. It's sometimes it's patience, sometimes it's speaking up, sometimes it's well, fuck off, and then you move on, you know, because I too have experienced that in the companies that I've worked for, where it's either I'm going to be patient, or I'm going to say something, or I've said something, nothing has happened, so I guess I got to go now. And so then sometimes if the door doesn't open, you have to go create it yourself, right? So I think that is several things. And to our listeners, you shouldn't be discouraged to try all of it. You know, give yourself that opportunity to be patient, to speak up, and to search for options or talk to HR, whoever it is, the powers that be,
right,
to get you where you need to be.
Yeah, I think like you said, it's that personal perfect blend of all of those things. Patience, that confidence in yourself, of speaking up.
Yeah.
One of the things that I train is having confidence in your job, in your role. And ultimately, with the confidence that you have in your role, it just makes you a better employee all the way around.
Yeah.
You're confident in your responses to your customers.
Yeah.
You're confident in the work that you're performing. You're confident in how you speak to other people and what you're actually doing. And I kind of tie it off with everybody is responsible for their own growth, their own personal growth. That doesn't necessarily mean in that same company. It's you're responsible for your own personal growth. So if you find that right time, respectfully respecting the hierarchy, because you have to play the game. There's always that game.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
Yes, you have to play the game.
Yeah, there's always a game.
Right.
And
it's like chess.
Yeah, chess, cat and mouse. Call of Duty. You have to take responsibility for yourself and for your own personal growth, and speaking up and saying, "Hey, put me in, coach."
Right.
That's one of those things that is either going to progress you or it'll give you clarity in where you are.
Yeah.
I've been in that position so many times where I'm jack of all trades, master of none. Because I'm so much more valuable as that person, as that go-to person who can just fix everything and do everything and everything like that. But as far as taking that responsibility and having that patience, if I had gotten the job that I wanted at the time that I was originally requesting it and thinking that I had deserved it, I don't think I would be where I am now. And I don't think I would have that mindfulness that I have now.
Right.
Looking at what kind of leader I want to be. Just thinking about all that kind of thing. So it's your perfect blend of patience, speaking up, and everything else. And when I had originally requested it, I wasn't at the bank I'm at now.
Right.
Right. I was at the bank before that.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go through those motions, and everything that you learn and you take away from it. Sometimes you're just not in the place that you need to be, and you need to go somewhere where you are more valued, more appreciated. Never stay in a toxic environment if it's not good for you. I never condone that. But if you know that you're in a position where you can make a difference and you have a plan for it, I would always encourage you to speak up, but also to have the patience and the clarity to realize that you just may not be where you are supposed to be.
Clarity. That's a good word right there.
Yeah, be clear and intentional with what are your next steps, what are what's the plan?
Control your emotions, because sometimes you want to just like
lash out.
Yeah.
And I think I wanted to add, accept feedback or look for feedback.
Absolutely.
Because we may think like, okay, I'm going to be patient. Okay, I'm going to speak up, or okay, I'm going to lash out at this person. But I think that it would be good to go to somebody else that is not involved and can give you their perspective. Hey, I'm going through this and that. This manager is a so-and-so. I want to be there, or whatever it is, and let them give you, okay, the feedback, or let them ask you questions about how to make you reflect on how you are as an employee or as a leader or whatever the next step is for you, because feedback is also important and we need to receive it and be able to receive that even if it's criticized or we're being criticized. Yeah. Good criticism is, what is it? Constructive criticism?
Constructive criticism. Yep.
Yeah. I'm out of breath.
You're so passionate.
Is the baby coming now? Is the baby coming
out? No, got time. But yeah, normalizing feedback. And maybe with all of these situations of like the patience and trusting the process and speaking up, maybe that's the reason why there aren't more effective leaders. There's all these little things missing or that we get ahead of.
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes when people are put into a leadership position before they're ready, I'm not saying everyone, but there's this air of entitlement.
Right.
Yes.
And it just kind of just sits there with that person.
The ego kicks in.
Yes. Yeah. I was put here for a reason. Just respect my position, respect my authority. And,
respect my title.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. When, they're not doing anything to deserve that kind of feedback or anything from their employees.
Yeah. A good leader will always know their roots, where they come from. If you're ever put in that, high level position, just always remember, where did you come from? Where are your employees coming from? Humble yourself. Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
Humility is so underrated.
Yeah. We don't have all the answers. No. I'm human, but look, let's work on this and we're going to find them together.
Get your hands dirty.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I want to ask one more question. And I'll ask you to both of you, because this is like just such a hot topic right now, right? Like women in the workspace and women empowerment and, more women in having a seat at the table. What do you believe women need in order to have a seat at the table and have more roles in leadership? What do they need? I feel like they're coming. We're here. We're making waves, but clearly not as quickly or as much as we would want. What do you guys feel is missing?
Well, I mean, you view Terry as a leader, like, and I do as well. Especially her role, what she does for the banks, especially. Yeah. So, like, what are some traits that you see that you picked from her that you think would be, valuable?
Terry is a lot of things. But one thing that I really admire about her when she is sitting at that table, she's just confident.
She's focused. She's very focused. Like,
and you know what? Even if inside she is trembling, she knows what she's talking about. She knows what she knows, and she knows what needs to be put on the table.
Right.
And I think as far as women in the workplace, I don't think women need anything, to be honest. Okay. I think that the men at the table need to just listen.
Right.
I think that's part of the problem. And if you have men at the table who are not listening, then I think women, maybe if they do need something, just be a little louder.
Right.
Just be a little louder. Don't change anything about yourself, your intentions, or anything.
Right.
Just be a little louder.
Yeah. Stay firm to your beliefs. What you gotta.
Because that's one of the things too.
Confidence.
Exactly, that confidence. I've worked with all kinds of different men in the workplace, and I don't know what it is. It's my biggest pet peeve. Well, I have several, but one of my biggest pet peeves is men talking over women. Like when they're trying to say something important or about whatever it is that you're both talking about. And at one point I actually told, it was my boss. I'm like, you ask me questions, but then you don't let me answer. So if you want me to answer the question, I'll answer it, but we just had that conversation, and I probably shouldn't have said it quite in that way, but it's one of those things, like, just speak up, be a little bit louder about it. Right. And there have been times where I've now gone and be like, let me finish. This is why I'm telling you that this is wrong, or that this needs to change, or X, Y, Z.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
Be a little louder. I think if women need anything, it's be a little louder. But yeah, like you said, women are here. They're making it happen. They're doing it. Mm-hmm. I think in some cases, I think men just need to sit back and listen.
Okay. Would you agree, Michael?
I 100% agree.
I agree. I like the way that you said all of that, because I do believe that women, like, I reflect and I think, like, why aren't we just, in these spaces and having these conversations and being the leaders of this team and paving the way? It just be a little louder. Mm-hmm. We have the confidence. We have all the confidence in the world. We know what we're talking about.
We have all the tools that we need.
We do. Mm-hmm. We just need to, like, all right, sir.
Yep.
Quiet. Mm-hmm. For 1 minute.
You're going to get beat down a lot. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a woman, whether you're black, whether you're Mexican, whether you're gay, right. Doesn't matter. Like, when you're when you're ostracized, in society, and you're trying to, and you have this label, it's gonna be difficult, no matter what.
I found too that if you're in a situation where you're struggling with that man-woman dynamic,
right?
Stick to facts.
Yes.
Stick to facts. Women, of course, are more emotional, where I can, Natalie, you did this wrong, and this is how I feel about it.
Yeah.
If I went, Mike, you did this wrong. It's on paper. This is what's wrong. You're gonna understand that better than I feel. I feel upset.
But are you gonna prove it?
Yeah, exactly. So sticking to your facts of, listen, this is exactly what's happened. It's on paper. It's in an email. It's, clearly it's showing our sales are going down, or whatever the case is happening, of what you're trying to convey as to why things need to change.
Right.
And I think that's going to be kind of across the board for anything, is you have to have something to support whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. But when you're in that conversation with a man, having those facts, did you not put this on paper? Am I wrong in understanding it this way? Mm-hmm. Tell me how I'm wrong. I will tell you how I'm right.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
The truth never lies.
The truth never lies.
Yeah. Like, numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we like banking. I don't know.
Yeah.
But bankers can't count.
It's true.
Math is hard, guys.
Those are just salesmen. If they were true bankers, they would know how to carry the one. Oh, wait, what?
I have a funny story. We had, it's not funny as to why we were there. I was at one of our branches had gotten robbed.
Oh, shit.
And so part of that, we have to do a cash count. And it was all of the operations people. And there's probably like 10 of us there. And we're trying to count the cash that's remaining in the branch so that we can, all you hear is 20, 40, 60, 80. Shit. 20, 40, 60, 80. Fuck. It's just honestly, the whole time I'm like, we are never going to get out of here.
100, 500.
100, 500. Damn it.
Yeah.
Have to start all over again.
I don't have enough fingers for this.
Thank goodness for the cash counters. Right?
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So funny.
Oh my gosh. Well, any closing thoughts? Anything else we want to add before we get this ball rolling?
In regards to leadership?
Yeah. I mean, anything really. Leadership, pets, banks.
If you want to be a leader,
music.
If you want to be a leader, be prepared to get your hands dirty with your team.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Simple as that.
I love that. Do you have any reference books? I think we asked you when you were here last for our last episode, but is there any point of reference that you personally go to?
No, I can't think of anything right now. I mean, I
the book that I mentioned earlier.
Mention it again, Bartley.
21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. It's by John C. Maxwell, and it's a really good book because he lays out like all these laws for being a leader, but it also allows you to not only reflect about those laws on yourself, but about the people who are in leadership roles in your life. Like, what characteristics do they possess that, make them a great leader? Or, like in one of the chapters, it talks about the ceiling, and it was like, okay, well, what's your ceiling, and what's the ceiling of the people that are leading your teams? And it's really cool to hear these laws and have it, and the way he explains it, but also to like do a self-reflection of like not only yourself, but of the leaders that are in your life.
Actually, I thought of one.
Okay.
No,
And
let's
this
hear it.
book actually really was a game changer to me, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. It's called Good to Great
Is it Adam Grant or?
by Jim Collins.
Oh, okay, I was way off. Sorry.
And what this guy did, he analyzed. So it was like during the 80s, I think, if I remember correctly, 80s or 90s. He interviewed some of the top executives for like Walgreens, Wells Fargo, some of the big banks, a lot of the big corporations during that time that were performing extremely well in the stock market. And so they went up and they discussed with them, like, what is it that you're doing as far as a leadership role? And that book really just was an eye-opener to me because those executives that drove the performance of their business, whether it was a bank or Walgreens or I forgot, it was like 10 different companies. The common factor that I found between all these executives was that they were very team oriented. And that was the only reason why these companies were extremely profitable, because these leaders were one with their team. That's the importance of being a leader, is being one with your team. Look at, if you watch the movie Gladiator, the only reason why Maximus was admired by his soldiers was because he got in there with them. He's like, I'm gonna fuck fools up too.
Yeah. You want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for those recommendations.
Yeah. I have one more.
Let's hear it.
Emotional Intelligence by Dr. Travis Bradbury and Dr. Jean Greaves. So this book was actually given to the entire bank as part of like a conference, leadership conference or anything. It's a very short read, but it gives you insight into how to speak to people so that they are emotionally understanding you and having that emotional intelligence for yourself to understand what they are trying to communicate. It was so insightful for that, just to be able to we talk about humility, getting on somebody's level of how they process something, emotionally when they're trying to convey something. It may come off like angry or aggressive, but that's because that's how they're trying to communicate to you. What is the best way for you to receive that? How can you communicate with them effectively in that space? It's really, really good.
Ooh, thank you for that one.
That's a good one.
Thank you all for those book recommendations. I'm going to have to write these down for myself too. Well, that makes On This Frequency's latest episode. This is going to be the shit, everyone.
An hour? We did pretty good, huh?
I think we did pretty good. I mean, we can keep going.
Yeah.
Y'all want to keep going? Can make this a two-parter if you want.
A two-parter?
But no, thank you guys seriously for coming down and having this conversation
We
with
should
me.
just start a banking podcast, and we'll probably have a lot of bankers just
for
listening, like, yeah.
It's such a small world.
We would be like The Office
It's a small,
in audio.
big world. It's a small, big world.
I swear, I tell people all the time, I'm like, man, we could write a book of all of the different things that you just deal with.
Yes, and it would be hilarious.
Yes,
some
it
of
would.
this shit is funny as fuck. Like,
It
how
really
the
is.
fuck? How we work together? How do we do this?
It's true. It's so true. I know you have stories. I'm just thinking of the doctor one.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking about. That's a podcast for another day.
Yes, it is.
I would love to share it, but no, it will
So funny.
off air. But no, seriously, thanks you guys again for having this conversation with us, being a part of On This Frequency. Make sure you guys, our listeners, leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also support us by donating some coffee. Go to buymeacoffee.com/on this frequency. Meow, meow, meow. This week's episode is brought to you by Rose City Sound with executive producer Big Brother Jake from the Big Brother Jake podcast. And this episode is produced and edited by Juicebox Bartley. Keep in touch and send us your topic ideas at onthisfrequency@gmail.com. Increase the peace, y'all.
Nigeria, what's up?
Switzerland, what's up?
Switzerland, what's up?
Yes, that's right. Thank you to all of our listeners all over the world. We love you guys. Keep sharing, keep tagging, keep showing us the love. Bye.